This guy stops in on Fridays when it comes to music, when it comes to movies, television, whatever it might be. He is without peer. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, the great culture blaster. Nice to see you, sir. Wow.
Hey, welcome to Mike's Madness. Come on, let's get serious about it.
See.
Anyway, I want to wish everyone a peaceful and contemplative Good Friday.
Oh, that's sweet.
Wait. Good Friday? It's a great Friday. I feel so good. I actually have an appointment at my pedicurist to get my feet washed tonight.
Oh,
in honor of
because it's
Good Friday.
It's a Jesus thing.
It's a Jesus.
I love it. I love Jesus things.
Hey, Sunday is Easter,
Sure.
and so the big question is, where are my peeps at?
I get it because of Peeps.
I mean,
That's
seriously,
funny.
Peeps.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
Peeps.
I get it.
Anyway,
Right. Go ahead.
Kim warmed us up for
Any more Easter material, or
You just don't get it.
That's about it.
You don't.
I don't get it. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
the well is dry. I'm
Okay.
telling you right now.
All right.
Kim warmed us up for the movie reviews by bringing up Godzilla X Kong.
Oh, I'm glad you're doing the Godzilla. Okay, go for it.
Well, by the way, Godzilla X Kong, I think it means Godzilla times Kong, but it could have been plus Kong. I mean, anyway, let's get to the details.
Do Godzilla and Kong actually meet each other in this offering?
They meet for coffee. OK Cupid has teamed them up somehow, and they find a lot in common.
Wow.
What?
A number of decades ago, when I was a kid, and Japan's series of Godzilla movies were getting sillier and sillier, there was a toy called Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Do you remember
Sure,
that?
I've got a Rock'em Sock'em in this house somewhere.
Okay, it was a plastic device, for those who don't know, with two small mechanical lever-controlled robots in a boxing ring that you and your friends could manipulate to simulate a fight.
Absolutely.
So as I recall, it was fun for a few minutes, and then the novelty wore off very quickly. The new blockbuster, Godzilla X Kong.
Same deal.
New Empire is essentially that, only done in elaborate CGI animation for the big screen with some live action performances of a sort by notable actors such as Rebecca Hall, wonderful actress, daughter, I believe, of Peter Hall, the great theater luminary in England. Dan Stevens, you loved him on Downton Abbey and
Oh, sure.
Legion and various other projects. And Brian Tyree Henry, terrific actor. And this must have cost many, many millions to make. So continuing the American-made Warner Brothers legendary Monsterverse, revolving around a secret organization called Monarch that monitors giant monsters that have somehow shown up on Earth. This is, as Kim pointed out, the fifth feature in this loose franchise that began with Godzilla in 2014. Went ape with Kong Skull Island. Loved it. In 2017, got kind of lizardly again with
my God.
2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters, then pitted Godzilla versus Kong, and cities were destroyed. Money was made, and now we have Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire.
And this is their new hoax.
Kind of.
Okay,
This was directed by Adam Wingard, and it is a nearly nonstop slugfest with a slew of realistically computer-animated creatures that are mostly battling one another in the hollow earth, a brightly colored dimension, a land beneath the surface of our world. So the action is fanciful, to say the least. It's as wild a ride as a Disneyland e-ticket attraction, and has about as much plot, actually. Although it's entertaining in a cartoony way, especially if seen in IMAX, it has none of the character development and intrigue of recent MonsterVerse-adjacent TV show Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, which I endorse heartily. The high point of these Monarch movies is still Kong Skull Island, which does not feature Toho Studios' superstar, a skyscraper-sized radioactive dino lizard, and actually spawned a very good animated series on Netflix. And as good as the renderings of Godzilla are in these Warner's legendary movies, the recent Japanese production Godzilla -1 is as good in the CGI effects department, leaving Japan's traditional man in a rubber suit Godzilla in like the radiation-infused dust, and way better as drama and social commentary. At this point in the series, Kong rules and protects the Hollow Earth, and Godzilla protects nature and even mankind from threats on the surfaces of our planet. but another giant ape wants to wrest control of Hollow Earth from Kong. So
Wait, there's a second giant ape?
We have a tag team wrestling match.
Well, did we know about the second ape?
No, he's newly
This is a new
introduced.
character. Okay.
Apparently, he has his own little tribe of giant apes in the Hollow Earth.
What?
There is kind of, you remember tag team wrestling? We went from Rock'em Sock'em Robots to tag team wrestling.
Of course.
So imagine Kong and the ape interloper fighting with various other beasts involved. And of course,
the science is ridiculous.
It doesn't sound like it is underpinned by science. No.
Godzilla may put his previous animosity towards Kong aside because there's a bigger threat here.
Oh, sure. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
There's even a sort of cameo by a very famous kaiju who I shall not name. Okay, it's Mothra. Anyway, let's not forget the humans. Even if the screenplay almost does forget the humans, but you've got Hall as a kindly scientist with an adopted daughter who can speak to Kong. You've got Stevens as a daredevil pilot in a Hawaiian shirt, always a great character note, and Henry as a monster-obsessed podcaster. These guys are all surely happy to cash a paycheck. If you ever wanted to see a sleepy Godzilla curl up like a cat and doze off in one of the most famous landmarks in the world, this is your movie. I mean, that is, if you're not dozing off yourself by the time it happens. The bluster is overwhelming, but, a lot of that can kind of become wearying. It is in theaters where it's meant to be seen, if at all.
Wow. Well, you love a lot of the elements. It sounds like you're not much of a fan of the way it all came together.
Let's turn to something a little more human.
Yes, sir.
Wicked Little Letters, which is purportedly based on actual events. And we've got a couple films like that, and they're both directed by the same director, strangely enough, and both coming out today. Wicked Little Letters is a period movie set in a quaint English seaside town during the not-so-roaring 20s, if the repression on display is in any way accurate. This is a comedy of sorts with a mystery involving the identity of an anonymous prankster who is sending profanity-filled letters to a variety of local residents, among them a faint-hearted spinster, Edith Swan, played by Olivia Colman.
She is in all the good stuff, huh?
Her righteous brother, Edward, played by the great Timothy Spall of many, many wonderful films. Mike Lee's repertory company, he was in Harry Potter and such. And their elderly mother, who are all appalled at these absolutely filthy contents of the missives. So the prime suspect, as is the case in situations like that, is the libertine young woman down the block. She's named Rose Gooding. She's played by Jessie Buckley, the great Jessie Buckley. Anyway, with such stellar actors as Coleman, Buckley, and Spall on board, this should have been a much funnier and less forced farce than it is.
Oh, you didn't like it. Interesting.
Well, there are moments. It's always a joy to watch the performers and a selection of other top-notch UK thespians in the cast and watch them do their stuff. The scenes with Coleman and Buckley elevate the whole affair, and there are lively, enjoyable scenes and some chuckles here and there. But the more frenetic moments aren't that amusing. The vulgarity that's meant to be hilarious loses its charm, and the movie's final revelations do not sizzle. They just kind of fizzle out. There's a pretty obvious subtext here about the oppression of women in the era and the area, including the shaming of the free-spirited folks as embodied by Buckley's character. That's okay. In fact, okay about sums up my opinion of Wicked Little Letters. Did it need more wickedness? Maybe. Or maybe a smarter, less heavy-handed script. And I won't say return to sender on these letters, but I expected better. Wicked Little Letters was directed in very professional fashion by Thea Sharrock, who fared better with another new release that I will discuss shortly, one that's more of a populist feel-good project. Meanwhile, Wicked Little Letters is in select theaters.
Wow. Man, I thought we were going to go with a great review for that when I saw Olivia Colman, and we end up with sort of a tepid review.
I know. I think Jessie Buckley was also nominated for an Oscar. Coleman, Oscar winner. Buckley nominated. No.
Well, once in a while, one's not going to be, Oscar worthy.
It is not terrible.
No, I get it. It's not bad.
I can see the pull quote on the posters now. Michael Snyder, Mark Thompson show. It's not terrible.
Now, you think if I do an edible, I would enjoy it more? Is that
apparently you'll enjoy everything more with an edible until about halfway through when you'll doze off like Godzilla in a certain famous monumental landmark.
All right.
Okay, driven by an absolute banger of a performance from Caleb Landry Jones, Dogman is the latest movie and one of the most intriguing from the audacious French filmmaker Luc Besson, whose generally bold output includes such landmarks as Leon, the Professional, which, by the way, stars Jean Reno and was the first major screen role for a 13-year-old Natalie Portman. Do you remember
is that right? I didn't know that.
The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis and La Femme Nikita with French leading man Checky Cario. So Dogman, written and directed by Besson, is occasionally kind of half-baked, but damn, it has some serious bite and style, largely thanks to Landry Jones as the title character, a man named Douglas, who, after suffering horrible abuse as a child, including a crippling injury, has built a life for himself and found solace and unconditional love from a loyal pack of canine companions.
Wow, good for that.
The dogs not only provide comfort, they're kind of like furry avenging angels that can be wielded by Douglas to right perceived wrongs. This crusade could definitely blow back on him with serious repercussions. So, over the course of Dogman, Landry Jones flexes some serious shape-shifting skills, especially in regards to a certain part-time job that Douglas takes. The actor's expression of the pain Douglas has endured and the fortitude that the character needed to survive against the odds is pretty astonishing. After the splashy qualities of his best and most lionized work, Besson went down a darker and more haunting path with Dogman. I think it paid off. And again, Caleb Landry Jones gives a hell of a performance here, probably the most memorable and moving in his career so far. It may not be for everyone, but Dogman is no dog, man. It's in selected theaters.
Oh, very clever what you did there. Yeah, I'm noting ding words along the way. We'll pick them up at the end of the Lionize is one of them. So it's nice that you did like it, though.
I did.
Yeah.
Hey, we got one of our favorites lined up here for the next review. At this point, Liam Neeson has no need to say that he has a certain set of skills because we know
This is a
he
classic
has them.
Mark Thompson time waster.
Right, and guess what? This is not the recently classic Liam Neeson time waster because he's made some crap B movies,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, guy's got to pay for his summer house.
Yeah, hacky action films or haction movies, as I like to refer
Oh,
to
that's
them.
good. I like that.
Well, for a change, he uses his skills in a more studied and atmospheric thriller than usual. This one set in Ireland during what appears to be the early 1970s when the horrific political violence known as the Troubles were, as usual, threatening the placidity of the Sylvan land, the Emerald
Placidity,
Isle.
I've got a ding right now.
Anyway,
Sorry about that, everybody.
it's called In the Land of Saints and Sinners, and it features Neeson as ex-assassin Finbar Murphy, who has worked for a surprisingly folksy fixer, but now wants to lead a quiet life in a remote County Donegal town. So Finbar isn't on a mission to save a family member like we see Neeson do in some movies. He isn't trying to get revenge on someone who wronged him, but he has a code of honor, and there are some affronts that he just cannot let slide. Although it's not quite every time I get out, they pull me back in again. Finbar's guilt over the blood he spilled in the past certainly informs his desire to in some way atone for previous actions, and that makes for a wee bit of compelling drama. The cast is blessed by the presence of other renowned Irish actors, including Kerry Condon from the Banshees of Inisherin and Ray Donovan in Better Call Saul, as you've never seen her before, playing the brutal, callous leader of an IRA terrorist cell. Get this, Jack Gleason, now in his 30s and unrecognizable from the days when he played the vile teenage King Joffrey on Game of Thrones. He is, you just can't believe it's the same person. He plays a younger hitman who admires Finbar. Kieran Hines as an honorable local cop, and the great Colm Meaney from so many wonderful movies, including Layer Cake and, of course, the Star Trek franchise. Here he's the aforementioned fixer. Neeson previously collaborated with director Robert Lawrence on the 2021 film The Marksman. I think In the Land of Saints and Sinners is a better movie with a kind of classic Western vibe despite the 70s era and Irish setting. I endorse it. It's in theaters this weekend.
Wow, very good. He likes it. He likes the latest Liam Neeson offering. And I'm surprised no one, all over you, you do serve up these ding words. You're a writer. You're hyper articulate. Oh, here it is. I wondered why no one had noticed. Aforementioned is a ding word. Yes, there we
really?
go.
It's kind of a...
It's a. Let's face it. It's It's a highfalutin word, aforementioned. Please.
Yeah, okay, I got one for you that I really want to address because we mentioned the director previously. She's the director of Wicked Little Letters. How about a feel-good sports movie with a social services twist? That would be The Beautiful Game, which bears as its title the affectionate nickname for soccer across the globe. So this is handily directed by Thea Sharrock, the same director who brought us Wicked Little Letters. The Beautiful Game is an exceedingly pleasant narrative movie inspired by a very real annual sporting event, the Homeless World Cup. This is an ongoing international street soccer tournament that features national teams comprised of homeless athletes who represent their various countries as they try to win the competition's championship. So the great Bill Nighy
He's so good.
he plays Mal. He's a renowned soccer scout who recruits the players for England's team in the Homeless World Cup. Each member of the English squad has a reason or reasons for their unhoused status, and we get to meet them and learn their stories as they travel to Rome. The most talented and troubled of them is Vinny, an uncommonly skilled striker played by Michael Ward, previously so good in The Book of Clarence and Empire of Light. And speaking of light, The Beautiful Game is lighter fare. Although there are a few twists to the tale, we sort of know where this is headed. Despite the formula, there is so much heart to the story. Nighy, as you pointed out, is always so good. Ward exhibits so much star power as Vinny, and the ensemble around Nighy and Ward are all so immensely likable that it ends up as a genuinely uplifting and non-saccharine experience. I mean, the struggles that the teammates face to turn their lives around, to redeem themselves, and to play the beautiful game in a fair manner give the movie a richer texture. As it happens, the screenplay is the work of Frank Cottrell Boyce, who also happened to write a favorite film of mine, 24-Hour Party People, as well as Welcome to Sarajevo, Millions, and The Railway Man. The fact that the Homeless World Cup is a real and empowering thing makes The Beautiful Game even more worthwhile to watch, and it is on Netflix.
Wow, you really liked it. I'm so impressed by that review. Man. Does that bring us to the end? I think it might.
I think, considering time constraints and the fact that Kim has stuff to do.
I love a quick reflection on what we've just heard. The Beautiful Game, you're seeing it up there. Bill Nighy. And is it Michael Ward?
Michael Ward. Spells his name E-A-L, unlike the rest of us, Michaels.
Yeah, well, it's cool. It's a feel-good sports movie about soccer. This is a real World Cup, the Homeless World Cup. It's a real-life football tournament that spotlights unhoused athletes around the world. And with all those great performances to which you've referred, Michael has finished by saying he really likes it, and The Beautiful Game is in theaters. And it's on Netflix beginning tonight.
Now, yeah, it's not in theaters. Go straight to Netflix.
Oh, go straight to Netflix. All right.
It's theater worthy.
Okay. So I can do an edible and watch it on Netflix tonight.
Do too.
In the Land of Saints and Sinners is the thriller featuring Liam Neeson with a special set of skills that are finally not associated with trying to find his daughter or trying to settle some score.
Give me back my wife.
Michael says this is a special set of skills well applied in this new thriller.
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
No, it's actually a good thing.
It's not a time waster.
This is a good thing.
Okay, so In the Land of Saints and Sinners puts together Neeson with a bunch of other cast members that really hang together well, a script that's really good, and Michael really recommends it. It's in theaters. Dogman is this weird, it sounded weird. It's a guy who has found a special bond with this pack of dogs is what I got.
Right.
And he's able to direct them to less than holy kinds of loyalties. Is that a fair way to put it?
He wants to right wrongs, and he wants to use the pack of dogs to do that. He'd like to be left alone with the dogs, but
Sure.
he knows
we all do.
There's trouble surrounding him, and so.
Yeah. He recommends it, Dogman, and it's in theaters right now.
And it's from Luc Besson, of all people, Mr. Fifth Element, Mr. Femme Nikita.
Yeah, very, very good pedigree. Wicked Little Letters with Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley, two people who are always talked about at the highest levels of acting. Sadly, their acting wasn't enough to save this film. According to Michael Snyder, Wicked Little Letters is not great, not bad.
No.
But it's not really what he expected and perhaps what a lot of us would expect with
It
that
had
kind of.
moments, but it needed to have so much more.
Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, where they're fighting under the earth to save the earth. Then there's another huge Kong-like ape that enters the picture. It sounded like there was a lot going on. And Michael said, yep, there is a lot going on, and it's too much going on, and it's just, it gets busy and ultimately disappoints.
Yes, you'd be better off watching Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which I believe is on Apple TV.
Yes, well, I'm very impressed with the way that you've discharged your responsibilities today, Michael. You've certainly brought the heat, and I've waited until the end of Michael's segment for the ding words, of which there were many.
I'm sure they were profuse.
They were.
Ding.
And I will, profuse would be one of them. We ding SAT type words on this show, and Michael just serves them up. We try not to ding them during the segment. It can be a little distracting, but you can see here all of the different words that have been libertine and thespians and frenetic, and then another frenetic. It's the different spelling, which is, it's actually a different word, but all right, it's passable. Audacious, fortitude, lionized, atmospheric, affront, atone. Wow.
You know, Mark, I use every one of these words in normal conversation.
Yeah, that's why we can ding them, because they're not, you don't go out of your way to use them. Mark needs to back ding Snyder's prior verbiage. It's true. So
God. Verbiage.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't that a thing?
I did not think you were a weed man, MT. Well, no, it's a callback. I don't want to seem like I'm a stoner. Not that there's anything wrong with being a stoner, to be honest. I went to school with straight A stoners. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. Yeah, my pal Scott was a wake and baker, and he was straight A's. Everything was amazing. But I refer to something that happened where I fell asleep during a movie, and Michael said, well, of course you did. If you did an edible, you fall asleep. So now I always talk about an edible before seeing those movies.
Just make it a quarter of an edible next time.
Yeah, you're right. But that's where that comes from. Michael, we love you. You can find him. What's your latest publication?
I will be joining Voice of San Francisco, a new online daily with a focus on the Bay Area, but obviously my stuff is going to have a little more universal appeal, I would hope.
Hell yeah. The Voice of the Voice of the Bay Area.
It's called Voice of San Francisco, and it debuts, I think, April 15th. So while you're miserable about paying your taxes, you can have your burden lightened by going to voiceofsf.com.
Love it. Voiceofsf.com. You can find the Culture Blaster here across social media as the Culture Blaster, and he comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
Go Giants!
Yeah. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.